Extreme athletes accomplish every day what only the rarest of humans can. But there are times when nature offers them conditions that are rarer still.
Friday, 8 to 12.
Phenomena so unusual that they redefine what athletes call the ultimate.
Saturday, gigantic.
When storms push massive volumes of water across vast lengths of ocean, swells can turn into waves more colossal than anything even the most ambitious surfers have encountered. Meanwhile, high above the Earth's surface, fantastical waves of rolling air can appear without warning.
Will I die? I don't know.
Two stories, two different challenges, each for a certain kind of athlete.
I might die, and I got family, I got kids.
A new opportunity for the ultimate rush.
This is the scariest thing I've done in my life.
Some might say they're crazy, but maybe what they're after is the ultimate beauty, the ultimate experience, the ultimate rush.
I'm Johnny Durand, I'm 31 years of age, I'm from the Gold Coast in Australia, and I'm a hang glider pilot. It's the closest sport you can get to actually flying like a bird. Ever since I had my first flight in the tandem hang glider, I was addicted and I haven't looked back ever since.
When he was real young, he got dragged around the world because that's where I'd like to go flying in different countries and different places. So he was always the one of the children that was always helping all the top pilots, running around, asking them questions. As soon as he got a chance to go flying, he wanted to fly.
He's a natural. I've been following Johnny since he started. I was running competitions, probably the first sort of comps that he was in, and within very few short years, he was winning the comp. He was Aussie #1, no question about it, he's good.
You know, I've got a lot of respect for Johnny. That's very rare to find young people that are passionate and so skilled in what they do.
In 2009, Johnny Durand decided to tackle one of nature's most spectacular phenomena, the rare aerial waves that sometimes occur above northern Australia called the Morning Glory.
It is basically a tsunami or a tidal wave that moves through the sky. In front of this tidal wave is air that's going up. This gives a hang glider pilot free lift, basically. So in front of this tidal wave, I can just soar like a bird.
But to ride a Morning Glory, Johnny must set off on a 2,000-mile journey up through Australia to the remote salt flats of Queensland. And as the passing miles bring him closer to his dream, they also carry him toward perilous new challenges.
Morning Glory has a lot of potential dangers. I think the fact that it's unpredictable is one of the biggest dangers.
Crucial to stay on the front face of it. Behind it gets pretty wild conditions. All that air that's going up basically has to come back down, and it can smack you onto the ground. I've heard some pretty scary stories.
The wind gust associated right around the Morning Glory itself on the ground can reach, speeds of more than 100 kilometres an hour.
Getting the glider in the right spot so you're not getting the huge downdrafts they're going to force you onto the salt pans where there's crocodiles and pretty wild stuff out there.
Dylan Longbottom and Laurie Towner are adventurers searching for a different sort of wave. Dylan is a longtime Billabong surfing pro who became famous in 2005 for taming the bone-grinding Shipsterns Bluff, a feat that earned him an XXL Monster Tube Award and permanently placed him among surfing's elite.
I've been with Billabong for 20 years now, and then Laurie has come along the way 10 years later, halfway through my career.
Laurie is no mere tag-along. Only 1 year after Dylan, he surprised surfing's veterans by landing his own XXL nomination, paddling into one of the biggest waves ever to be ridden without powered assistance. He and Dylan became instant comrades.
Got to know him and became good friends with him, and he ended up starting shaping my boards, and so we formed a pretty close relationship like that, and he enjoys surfing the same waves as I enjoy, so it was pretty much like going to happen that we'd hang out and go chase big swells.
It's August 23rd, 2011. A swell is approaching Tahiti that is so vast, it quickly ignites worldwide attention in the surfer community.
Listen to this. Thursday, 8 to 10 feet. Friday, 8 to 12 feet. Saturday, gigantic. Sunday, 8 to 12 feet.
It's a pretty special swell that I know a lot of big wave charters are going to probably be coming into town for.
I've never seen something like this big, and yeah. The numbers we're reading are swell heights and swell period, which shows us kind of the power and the separation of wave to wave, the height. The biggest ever before that, we're showing like 20 feet maximum heights. But this one was showing like 40 feet maximum heights.
I was sitting at home and started getting heaps of phone calls and everyone telling me that there's a giant swell going back to Tahiti.
And we're kind of like thinking, is this really going to happen? Like, I was a bit optimistic. I didn't think so.
I thought, yeah, I got to jump on a plane and go back over. This is a good opportunity to surf the wave.
Meanwhile, Johnny has rolled into Burketown, having just driven 2,000 miles in 2 very long days. Instead of setting up the gear, the team decides to get some much-needed rest. That proves to be a mistake.
Well, here we are in Burketown first morning, and as you can see behind me, this is a morning glory out here on the horizon. We don't know what to do. We really want to get up and fly that. I don't think it's going to be possible today.
But the team decides to try anyway.
Leroy, who's done a lot of car towing, said, come on, let's go. Let's go get the gear, you know. I can have it rolled out. We'll be ready in 30 minutes, you know.
Here we are. I'm just about to tow Johnny onto the morning glory. I've just got the wind here. There's Johnny down there. Yeah, hopefully we're not going to miss it. Here it comes. She's moving over my head pretty quick. Let's go.
Morning glories are so rare that every chance a rider gets to catch one could be his last opportunity for weeks.
We missed it. Timing.
We missed it by just a few minutes, and the wind that came through after it went through was just phenomenal.
Feel it.
I'm going, do you want to go? And he goes, I don't know. And then I go, nah, we're too late. The road, you'd get killed here.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we've had our first morning glory, guys. Whew.
Just a bit scary.
It was pretty scary. I'm glad I wasn't in the air, actually.
Next morning, Johnny is anxious to reach the launch point. With any luck, yesterday's morning glory was only the start. As dawn approaches, the team prepares the gear. But something is wrong. Nature has decided not to play along, and the boys are left standing under a calm blue sky.
Well, looks like we might have to wait for another day.
You know, over the years of flying hang gliders, you learn to deal with frustration. If we wait around long enough, I'm pretty sure that we'll get something.
But as the days pass, the morning glory is nowhere to be found.
We got to day 5. The tension was, you know, it was building. You know, 5 days in a row of sitting there and getting up, you know, at 4 o'clock in the morning and getting prepared and to, you know, to watch the sunrise every morning and see blue skies out there. It was, you know, it was heartbreaking really. And every morning I just kept hoping to see that morning glory out there on the sunrise. And you know, it just kept happening and happening. It was quite hard actually, you know, just thinking, is my dream ever going to come true, you know? I've been up here day in, day out, waiting and waiting.
As a surfer, to me, I'm looking for big tubes, yeah. Like, I love doing turns and I love doing airs and surfing beach breaks, but we're always chasing the tube.
Dylan and Laurie's insatiable appetite for what surfers call the tube inevitably lures them to Tahiti, where Chopu, the world's most famous pipeline, is the perfect provider.
Wave at Chopu in Tahiti, it just comes out of the deepest water, and it's just the corner of a reef, and it just one of the thickest waves you'll see.
The unique geotopography of the southernmost tip of the island, a place locals call the end of the road, has given rise to a pipeline unlike anything else on Earth. Below the surface, the jagged reef in the shallow waters of Chopu's lagoon drops rapidly to depths of 1,000 feet below sea level. The intense slope ratio lets huge swells from the Antarctic slam into the shore with virtually no resistance. The massive undulations are transformed into monster waves called surges. And the ones Dylan and Laurie have come to surf will reach historic proportions. The terrible power even a relatively modest wave can carry has already struck Dylan close to home.
My brother is a quadriplegic, and he done it surfing, but he done it surfing in 3 to 4 foot waves. So that shows you how easily you can break your neck.
Small wonder that on the morning of the monster swell's arrival, the boys are feeling a little jittery.
All night I kept waking up to these loud crashes and bangs like a huge storm, but it was waves breaking, and thinking, oh, that's sounding huge, and I was kind of getting scared and having all these feelings, but at the same time I wanted to ride them.
Yeah, it was definitely a nervous feeling when we were before. That's the worst time because, you know, you don't know what's going to happen on the day.
Then the first giant wave appears.
Oh my God.
I felt like I was on a roller coaster of emotions. I was like fully charged and pumped and you know, I knew what I had to do, but then had these other feelings of like I'm scared shitless and I might die, and I got family, I got kids.
Things are running through your head. You don't really know, like, will I die? I don't know. You just got to block it out and pretend it's not there.
The authorities pretty much called it code red and shut everything down. It didn't want anyone in the water because they didn't want anyone to die.
The skis are on lockdown at the moment, yeah, until further notice. It's kind of heavy, especially when we've got some of the best tow boys, you know, going. This is just the start.
Yeah.
It's going to get. That's what they're concerned about.
Yeah.
The spectacular cloud wave called the Morning Glory has proven elusive. But just when it seems nature has dealt them a losing hand, Johnny awakens to some positive news.
Woke up at 4:30 and I checked the weather and I looked on the satellite map and I saw this line of clouds.
But as rare as morning glories are, this one would be even rarer.
This line was defined. It was probably 700-800 kilometers long, and I just knew that we hadn't even seen the beginning of it yet. Everything was just the perfect signs. And when we arrived on the salt flats, it was foggy. They say that the biggest and best morning glories come when it's all foggy beforehand. We just didn't realise quite the complications it was going to give us. I called Leroy and he was having troubles getting out of the airport. We literally had only a couple minutes for him to land and to get the ropes ready and hook on and tow again.
Let's go get this glory, baby! I'm having troubles. I had to take my visor off. I can't see, so I'm having trouble clearing now.
You know, I looked to the left and it went as far as I could see, and I looked to the right and the cloud went as far as I could see. I knew there was no way I could miss it. You know, I was going to T-bone this thing. I was flying straight into it.
That thing is huge, Leroy. Look behind us. Oh man, this is the biggest wave I've seen in my life. Oh boy.
You know, I arrived and I was above this thing and I could actually see it moving. You know, it was moving that fast. It was magic, and also at the same time, it was, you know, I had a lot of fear. There was a lot of things that I didn't know. I didn't know what was going to happen once I released it.
Meanwhile, conditions in Tahiti have intensified. Water levels are reaching unprecedented heights.
A lot of things on the land that day got ripped out, and a lot of, like, you'd see fridges and stuff floating out the channel, so the water was coming into people's yards in the channel, which is behind the reef pass, which is rare, so we just knew straight away that it was going to be big.
Oh, it just looked like these monsters of water with this huge eye, and then just wanted to swallow you up. Yes, like, yeah. They didn't want any jet skis, any boats, any people. There was nothing to be in the water that day. We tried to just take them, and the guys that were kind of protecting the jet skis and working for Billabong kind of stopped us and said, nah, boys, I've been told from from the bosses, you can't. We ended up getting a boat. We knew someone and come pick us up. Me and Laurie and a couple of others, we went out and kind of scoped the line up, and there was 2 bodyboarders out there paddling it, which was just incredible. We couldn't believe it.
Like, I don't even know what he was doing out there, but nearly killed himself. A ski guy had to come rescue him, and his flipper ripped off, and like he got washed straight in the lagoon, and we just knew straight away he looked like an ant on the first wave.
But despite the danger, no one can keep the crowds out of the water.
You can't lock down the whole coastline. The jet skis went out and the boats went out, and the photographers wanted to be out there and capture this stuff.
The first Daredevil surfers hit the waves in spite of the code red warnings, and they're paying the price.
Like 6 or 7 waves in a row, like guys have just got smashed.
This time we're kind of pumped and ready to go out there, because the longer you stay on land, the more jitters you get.
That code red stuff just went out the window because there was thousands of boats out there and everybody was out there.
But we're on land and we're just thinking too much, and we want to just get out there.
Up in the sky, Johnny has reached his own frightening critical moment.
Okay, this is Johnny releasing.
I released from the Dragonfly and I was free. I was up there with my own wings and I was flying the Morning Glory.
This is the scariest thing I've done in my life. Oh, man.
But fear soon gives way to ecstasy.
This is awesome.
I was kind of speechless for the first part, and then I think my first words were, "Holy shit, look at this thing." I was in the right spot on the cloud. I was flying it. One of the best things you can do in a hang glider is to go and fly something like this and really get the feeling of, you know, flying and being free and being so close to Mother Nature in this big cloud.
But Johnny's euphoria turns to panic as he loses sight of the ground. Every hang glider pilot's most feared predicament.
I cannot see the ground at all. This is pretty much a hang glider pilot's worst nightmare.
Bail out now, and Johnny could end up crash landing into a forest. Or worse, a croc-infested mangrove. Finally, Dylan and Laurie race out to meet the waves.
You rock up and there's nobody out the back with on their skis waiting for a set.
Dylan and Laurie arrive to find they have the surf all to themselves.
We kind of pulled right up because we're on the jet ski and looked, and then we kind of looked at each other. We went, let's do this, like, let's try it. And then we were like, who's going first? Who's going first?
You want to go first? And he's asking me if I want to go first. And, all right, I'll grab the rope and get it out of the way. And all of a sudden the wave's, 15 foot, and you're trying to make it to the end of it. It's pretty nervous and pretty scary feeling.
I'm doing 80 kilometers an hour right now, and I still haven't made it to the front of this cloud yet.
As Johnny frantically searches for a landing spot, the ground crew attempts to reassure him. But interference soon makes all radio communication impossible. Johnny is forced to rely on his own inner compass.
I'm just gonna keep heading this way, guys, because I cannot see a thing.
There's nothing going through your mind except for that feeling and hoping you're going to make it. Yeah, sure enough, first couple of waves were perfect.
Now it's Dylan's turn.
All them feelings of anxiety and scared and all that fear kind of goes. Everything was right for me. And then I got my best wave of my life. You come out and then you're like euphoria and just pumped, like ready to go again.
You get hurt on those first few waves and then everybody else came straight back out.
Once Laurie and Dylan have tamed the surf, everyone storms back into the swell. But some of the less skilled surfers are getting pummeled.
Oh my goodness.
We call it getting ragdoll because you just get thrown all around the joint.
All of a sudden it's just still, and then all of a sudden it's the most violent thing you've ever felt, and you're just doing flips and cartwheels.
You can get just plastered on the reef, broken bones, and you could drown.
There's all this danger and everything around, but at the same time, if you make one of those perfect waves, it's the best feeling you're ever going to get.
As Johnny soars to the edge of the morning glory, he finally spots land below. His troubles are over. In Tahiti, the surfers too have begun to tame nature's fury, and the crowds are treated to some of the most spectacular rides in Chopu's history.
It's really hard to describe how good it feels when you get a wave like that and make it. It's almost, I don't know, I've had waves where you've pulled off and you're that high, like you're shivering and it's crazy. It's like you've taken a whole heap of drugs or something. It's just you're that high on adrenaline. It's crazy. It's a natural, amazing feeling, I guess.
I feel like all the 15 years of going to Tahiti were all led to that, and that was my pinnacle. Like, it doesn't get any better. I will never probably find a wave like that one again. That big, that scary, and make it.
For Johnny, touchdown on solid ground has never tasted sweeter.
That is absolutely awesome, man. Absolutely awesome.
It's something that I'll never forget. It's just a once-in-a-lifetime dream that came true.
That day at Code Red was just unbelievable. Oh, I'm just so stoked to be there on that day, on the biggest day ever.
I've never seen that many big, heavy waves hit in one day.
I'm blown away still, it blows me out.
It's a pretty cool feeling.
I'd say to people out there that if you have a dream, go for it and try and live it, because to me, there's not much else out there that, you know, is going to beat that.
That's what we're chasing is days like that. It's hard to beat.
Dylan Longbottom, Laurie Towner, and Johnny Durand, 3 athletes who have tamed the rarest and fiercest of nature's phenomena. Though one surfs the sky and the other's the sea, they meet in one place, their quest for the ultimate rush.